I'm on the phone line with healthcare.gov, and I've been going through this hassle of trying to get my healthcare plan processed and my application processed. And there are parts of it that I don't understand. Like, it seems like every year I have to go through the same process of application. So every year this is held up, and in the past I've just called in on the phone, and for some reason I've been able to get around this part of the process, and then they walk me through it. But I tried to do that earlier, and the woman just didn't seem to understand what my problem was. I decided I'd do a little video to talk about the Affordable Care Act and Obamacare, and just in general how I feel about corporate influence on our government. Because I don't think that government is always the problem. Capitalism doesn't work at all without any kind of government control. It needs government in order to do anything useful in society. Because I'm not a libertarian at all, and I think that libertarians just don't seem to understand what government has given them. Things like the Clean Air Act, the Clean Water Act. We'd be living in toxic waste dumps if it wasn't for the government, the minimal government regulations that we have now, which, you know, conservatives and others are trying to get rid of because they want no restrictions on business. And this libertarian idea of like, we can somehow survive without a government, or like the government should minimally, you know, provide defense, like national defense. Like, that's just a load of horseshit. And if you want to see a free market, go to any third world country. That's how the free market works when it's unrestricted by government. That's pretty much a great example of how it would work, which is that you have a massive disparity of wealth, and you have most of the population being exploited by a very small percent of the population, which is basically what we have in this country too, only we're just in general a more affluent country because we steal resources from the rest of the world. But yes, even like Friedrich Hayek and Adam Smith thought that government was required to have some kind of limitations on the market, because the market does not act in the public interest. It acts in the interest of the richest people, the people that have the most influence. I think that there's a lot of good things that have come out of the government, but more and more our government is being controlled by corporations, and that's why we need campaign finance reform. We need to get the money out of government. This is something that I think is sort of goes across party lines, because I think there are a lot of conservatives who don't like the fact that the government is heavily influenced by corporations. You know, they say that the price of healthcare has actually like leveled off or not gone up that much since the implementation of the Affordable Care Act. That may be true, but despite that fact, insurance companies keep on raising their prices. So what's going on here? Obviously, it's that they have this cash cow from the government that they know will pay the bill. And so they just keep on jacking up the price, and then that makes the government's bill even higher. So it's basically a combination of a private system and a government system, which is the worst combination you can have in a capitalist system. That's basically, our government is controlled by corporations, and they love having that control because it's access to billions of dollars, trillions of dollars that are just forced out of the American public, and then the corporations have free access to it. So it's outside of any kind of free market. Not that I think the free market would ever provide health care for people. If we don't have this, and likely Trump and the Republicans will get rid of Obamacare, and they will replace it with nothing. They will replace it with what we had before, which is constantly increasing healthcare costs and nobody doing anything about it, and like tens of millions of people being completely without healthcare coverage. Which, how is that good for the country? How is it good to have people in your country that can't afford healthcare? They're going to go into the hospital and somebody's going to pay for it, or they're just going to die because they can't get the right coverage. Like, how does that help us? We should be helping everybody in our culture, in our society, to excel and do better, which is why we have a government. That's why we're in this together. But what the problem has always been, and the problem with this Affordable Care Act, is that it's basically a Republican plan, and it's been so corrupted as a national health care program and so privatized. It's a big hodgepodge of private companies and the government. So it doesn't work. There's entrenched corporations, health insurance corporations, hospitals, all these like pharmaceutical companies. They all have so much control and influence over the system that they couldn't implement something like single payer, which would be cheaper and better for everyone, basically. That's what they have in Canada. This is basically a big giveaway. It's the compromise that was made with conservatives and the insurance companies. It's a big giveaway to insurance companies because they have this cash cow of the government who gives them money. And so they keep on jacking up the price of insurance. Like, it started out, it was like $300 a few years ago per month. And now it's up to $500 for exactly the same plan, or actually a plan that offers less. So they're hooked in thanks to, you know, the conservative lobbying. And now the cost of the insurance goes up, and then the government has to foot the bill. What has changed? They've never given me anything. Like, I've never made it past my deductible to have to actually have the insurance pay for anything. The insurance companies are charging $500 a month for this insurance that they don't have to pay anything for.
Calling the marketplace. My name is Ashley Fleming. How may I assist you?
I just wanted to see if I could. I'm having a problem with ID verification. That seems to be standing in the way of me continuing the process, the application process, and I wanted to know what I can do to move that along. Will resubmitting the application mean that the verification might go through faster, or it will, like, there's some kind of glitch because of maybe when I applied last time? Oh, so I finally got it all sorted out, and that customer service representative was super knowledgeable and helpful. Walked me through the process. I think they're just having some glitches now because because of the high call volume. And I'll just have to remember that next year, that I always have to call up ahead of time and talk to a human to be able to walk me through the process and get things sorted out, because it doesn't work trying to do it online. Considering the fact that there's like millions of people calling in and flooding the healthcare.gov system, I would say they do a pretty good job. People have a lot of anti-government bullshit rhetoric, propaganda that says that the government is inefficient and blah, 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 but I've had equal problems or similar problems with any kind of corporation, and also had much worse experiences with corporations than I have with this experience. So I'm in Ohio now and visiting family, and on the phone again, this time with Anthem, the private health insurance provider, and I'm on hold for about an hour, so a little bit longer than I was for healthcare.gov. And the reason that I'm on hold is because although I had a plan with Anthem a couple of years ago, last year they didn't provide the same plan or anything close to it, or I don't even know if Anthem was involved in the Affordable Care Act or not. But anyways, there was a lapse in my coverage through Anthem because another company covered it, and now I want to sign up. I've signed up for a new plan through Anthem because they're back, and now apparently I can't sign into the same account that I had 2 years ago and just pay my bill, so I have to get it sorted out, which means I have to talk to a human being, and that means waiting on hold forever when I wasn't really expecting to have to go through this in the first place. Thanks, privatization of our government systems. It's so much more efficient now. Well, I have to say, though, that this woman from Anthem has been really helpful and friendly, and seems knowledgeable, you know, as far as she can do things on her end. Okay. Nope, that's it. So, finally got the payment made. And it seems like things are sorted out. They were able to figure out the plan, I guess, discrepancy and change it to the other plan. I foresee that being a problem in the future for some reason, because it sounded like they had just taken the plan that for the application that I did that was not approved and moved it to the approved application. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on because it's a crazy, screwed up system that is a hodgepodge of private and government, which is just insane. Well, thanks for coming through this whole ordeal on Hardcore Sustainable. May seem a little bit off topic, but really, this is the politics. It's all connected. This whole privatization movement is the same thing that's trying to deregulate our government. It's trying to make government into this ineffective thing. And these are the people that have just taken over our entire government. And they've done it through, through dirty tricks. They've not done it through actually having support of the people because they're gerrymandering districts, and that's how the Republicans have taken over our government in so many states. In 25 different states, the Republicans have control. And in those states, they did not win the majority of votes. They won a minority, and yet they have super majorities representative in the government, which is insane. This is basically a takeover of a democracy by people who claim to be democratic and claim to be for, supporting people's rights. But no, they basically want to take our rights away. And it's the same thing with climate change. I mean, it's like the reason why things are not happening is because there's this privatization movement and this anti-government movement. They don't want more regulations, and they don't want more restrictions on business, and they basically control our government. So they're able to implement the policies that they want and the laws that they want and the regulations that only benefit business and give money to business. Like this whole Obamacare thing is a perfect example of what's going on, why they want it set up this way. All right, so I'll probably be getting back to some regular sustainability stuff soon. But I hope you see the connection between these. There's definitely a political connection in the way our government is set up and has been taken over by corporate interests. There's a connection. So give it a thumbs up if you liked it, and I'll see you next time.